Hey guys, Nate here. Today I want to talk to you about something that's important, perhaps the most important thing in any kind of strength and conditioning program. And honestly, I think it's a life skill. I want to ask you a question. Why are you doing this? Why are you reading and watching Pointman? Why do you exercise? What goal do you hope to achieve? Sounds like a simple question, but I'm asking you because I think people forget. We need to have our programs aligned to our goals. Let me ask you a question. If you're trying to achieve something at something you're good at, let's say your job. If you're trying to accomplish a goal, you probably think about how it is you get there and have a strategy, an action plan to allow yourself success, right? Or let's say something more simple. You're cooking in the kitchen, you follow the recipe. What's the recipe for health and strength success? What is your goal and how will you get there? See what I'm saying? My issue with what's going on the internet is people pick up methods, strategies, and recipes without realizing what they're cooking, what they're trying to achieve. Okay? What happens online is there's a proliferation of content around bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, functional training. Well, guess what? Bodybuilders are trying to step on stage shaved, fake tanned, with a man bikini at a ridiculously low body fat. They're actually extremely unhealthy for the most part. Bodybuilding is a really weird thing. I actually tried it many years ago. It was done. I never stepped on stage. Point is, that's not my goal. That's probably not your goal. Let me tell you about powerlifting. Powerlifting is about taking a barbell and lifting as much weight as possible in the squat, in the bench, and the deadlift. That's it, irrespective of any other goals. In fact, it's detrimental for your health and mobility most of the time. In fact, they're often fooling themselves because they wear lots of equipment to augment their lifts. Look up natural powerlifting or ungeared powerlifting. The numbers and the performance is significantly different. CrossFit. What is the goal in CrossFit? I don't know. Those people are confusing people, I think, with relationship problems. The people you see in the CrossFit games, they're exceptionally strong and capable and mobile and fit and strong. But if you go to a CrossFit gym, the story is very different, okay? So I'm trying to explain to you that, and functional lifting, whatever the hell functional lifting is what you see in Crunch and 24-hour fitness. Show me one trainee who's become exceptionally strong and capable from functional lifting in the gym. Don't get me started on trainers. We'll talk about that some other day. Point is, you got to have a goal. And I'm asking you, why are you doing this? As I've explained in previous posts, a couple of different previous posts, I've actually done some version of all of these things and more in lots of different sports as well. And that's just the way I think. That's the way I work. It's like, why are we doing this? What's the best way from point A to point B? And here's my answer. Here's what I'm doing. And here's what I hope to guide you all through. And I think that's why most of you have signed up thus far. The reason why we're doing this is not to step on stage shaved, really low body fat, or to get really fat and immobile and squat a bunch of weight, or to be a CrossFit person or whatever, or a functional trainee. Simply put, my goal, and I think a lot of our goals, is twofold. To have an exceptionally strong and capable body, performing of moving big weight, lots of weight, often quickly, in multiple planes of motion. That's the first goal. And the second goal is to look exceptionally great on an average and ordinary basis. And guess what? For the most part, as guys, tank top and shorts is about as far as you can be able to get. We don't have to walk around on stage in a shaved bikini. You see what I'm saying? Our goal is to look exceptionally great in a tank top. Maybe no tank top. That's okay too. And shorts. So what's the program for that online? It's not bodybuilding. It's not powerlifting. It's not strongman. It's not gymnastics. It's not CrossFit. None of those are designed around these goals. To be exceptionally strong, capable, healthy body, useful in lifting weight, multiple planes, often quickly. And number two, to look exceptionally great in a tank top and shorts, and maybe no tank top. That's it. So my question for you is, why are you doing this? That's my answer. I think a lot of you are here because you're interested in the same thing. So that's Pointman in a nutshell. There's a particular element of Pointman that a lot of you have asked me about and to ask me to create more content and explain more. And that's what I'm going to do today in a follow-up video to this. I call them speed pulls. Speed pulls, right? Now, if you've read the Pointman protocol and all the previous posts, I've included speed pulls in every day of training. That's very intentional. Let's talk about how the human body works real quick. The front of your body is called your anterior chain. The back of your body, which you can't see, is called your posterior chain. So one more time, anterior, posterior chain. Great. You can see your anterior in the mirror. You can't see your posterior in the mirror. So what would you guess most guys work out most by accident? Right, the front of your body. Because you can see it, it's the mirror muscles. You can get the flex, you can get the chest, you can get the arms. And so, as it turns out, whether in the gym or not, most guys are chronically overworking their anterior. Bench press, shoulders, or specifically front shoulders. Abs, which I've argued, and many people have argued, are pointless. It's important to have strong abs, but six-pack abs are not necessarily functional or healthy. I know bodybuilders with 6% body fat who smoke cigarettes, okay? Abs are pretty much useless. So, most guys chronically overwork the front of their body, anterior, which creates significant imbalances. The forward-leaning, hunched-over position, and that speaks to the second point, which is many of us, are on computers all day long, myself included. Guess what happens when you're on a computer all day long? The same exact thing, actually. You hunch over. You hunch over. This is bad for multiple reasons. So basically, you have people lifting weights, overemphasizing the front of their body, and then through computers and immobility, you're slouching over even more. This is bad for breathing. You must have good posture to breathe correctly from your diaphragm, from your stomach. It's bad for your back and your entire skeletal structure. But of course, when you hunch over like that, you can pinch muscles and nerves, which creates pain, imbalances, immobility, etc. How do we fix all this? By working our posterior chain. Posterior chain. Anterior chain, posterior chain. We fix it by working our posterior chain. I've talked to many physical therapists and chiropractors. Everyone does argue for working your posterior chain more than your anterior chain. Of course, no one's doing this. My favorite chiropractor in Menlo Park, he's like a savant kind of guy, but he's like a really small practice. Honestly, really awesome guy. I'll refer maybe in a link later. He says 2 to 1. 2 to 1. You need to work your posterior chain twice as much as your anterior chain. You need to work your posterior chain twice as much as your anterior chain. How many of us are doing that? Almost no one. And definitely in those programs, that's not happening either. So, Pointman is designed around that. Not necessarily 2 to 1, but more. You should be working your back, essentially, your back and your butt and your lower back and your traps more than your front. And so that's why in the Pointman protocol, it calls for speed pulls every day that you're lifting. And even every day that you're not lifting. You can do speed pulls on off days, on freestyle days, whatever. So, that's the concept of speed pulls. And the idea is getting more volume and practice pulling your body back. So number one, you're going to have a healthy and stable and strong posterior chain for excellent posture. That's why it's called the posterior chain, by the way, your posture. And the cool benefit of speed pulls is they make you look great in a tank top. We're working the traps, we're working the shoulders, we're working your butt, which I'll show you in a moment. So that's why we're doing this. To be exceptionally strong and capable in multiple planes of motion, moving weight often quickly, and to look exceptionally great in a tank top. Speed pulls are one of the most important things you can do to get there. It gives you great posture, great strength in your posterior chain, and makes you look awesome in a tank top. That's why I talk about speed pulls so much. That's why I want to talk more about speed pulls in the follow-up video today. There is no one path to speed pulls. You can do them lots of different ways. I advocate for them in terms of high volume every single day. It doesn't necessarily mean, it's not necessarily a strength exercise. You can do pulling a posterior as a strength exercise, as part of the Pointman protocol. But you should finish with speed pulls, which is necessarily lighter and more frequent. Every minute on the minute, 1 set per minute, 2 sets per minute. That's why we're doing this. I'll end by asking you one more time. Why are you doing this? Hope you're doing it for the right reasons. That's what Pointman's all about. That's what I'm all about. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about some speed pulls. See you soon, guys.